Living in rural Oklahoma, could you survive these 5 towns? I'm breaking down 5 different towns around the state of Oklahoma. I'll be discussing these 5 towns, breaking down their location, their size, their schools, hospitals, and pretty much some fun things to do around there. And of course, since I'm a realtor, we're going to be talking about real estate too. My name is Stacy Hesser, your favorite realtor in all of Oklahoma. I've been to all of these towns. I've lived in 2 of them, and I specialize in rural locations around the state of Oklahoma. What do I mean by rural? I mean towns that aren't necessarily commutable to either Oklahoma City or Tulsa Metro. I really have a lot of knowledge of what these towns have to offer to you, and also some cons. Some of these places, I don't know, it may not be for everybody. That's the purpose of the video for you guys today, is to figure out if this is something that you guys would be interested in. If so, give me a call, man. Let's talk about it. So the first town that we're going to be talking about is going to be Lawton, Oklahoma. Lawton sits out over in western Oklahoma. Lawton is the largest community that we're going to be discussing, which is not part of Oklahoma City or Tulsa. And the population of this next largest city is 93,000. I'm going to pull up a map for you guys so you can see exactly where it's at. But like I said, population 93,000, elevation's at 1,100 feet. So Oklahoma does kind of start to rise up as you head more west. But here you can see it's where it is in proportion to Oklahoma City and Tulsa. It's over on that western side, south of the city. But how far is it from Oklahoma City? Lawton sits 81 miles southwest of Oklahoma City Metro. So it's really not going to be a town that you would want to live in if you're working in the city, going back and forth. And it's a pretty easy drive. So what are some of your housing options for the Lawton area? Okay, let me just pull this up. Lawton is still in a fairly heavy seller's market. It is starting to move more towards a balanced market, though, with 3.37 months of inventory. Their list to sold price ratio is 96%. But here you can see the new listings that are hitting the market come in at 167,000. Average price for active listings is 155,000. Sorry, that's median, not average. All of these are median prices. What's going under contract are mostly homes that are sitting around that $150,000 price point. Let me scroll down to sold. Sold listings, median price point again is 154,900. If you're not wanting to live in the Lawton area, but you are working in the Lawton area, you may want to consider some other small towns that are around there, such as Fletcher, Geronimo, and Elgin. Fun fact for you, Geronimo himself is actually buried in the area there. Some of the major employers in the area, Fort Sill, it is an army base, but they do have branches from all of the militaries that are actually in the base there. Other employers that are in the area are Goodyear and Bar S. Both of them have production facilities in the area. The Lawton schools are another major employer. Whether it's public school, private school, or we've got Cameron University and a Votech school there too. What is crime like? Okay, so finding the crime rates for these towns was not the easiest task in the world. And I'm going to be doing a deep dive on the safest cities in Oklahoma and some of the most dangerous cities in Oklahoma. So stay tuned for that. But this report is on the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, and it's put together each year. It breaks it down by county. So you can see that Lawton is in Comanche County, and you can see here that they report 92,711 people with a total crimes of 4,733. Crime rate per 1,000 people is 51.05. So that means that there are, for every 1,000 people, there are 51 crimes that are committed to that group of 1,000. The types of crimes that we have in the area is 1,864 crimes against a person and 2,264, which are crimes against property. And then the last is 605 of crimes against society. So I will say that 51 is not terrible. I've seen worse, I've seen better. So we're going to get into that. All right, next up is schools. Let's look at the Lawton School District. So for all of my school research, I go to niche.com. I just keep it consistent and it seems to be the best resource for me to use for this information. So we're going to pull up the K through 12 schools for Lawton and see what they have for the public school district. So pretty good. We have a rating of B. And here you can see the different things that they get rated on. Something that some of you big town people might like is the student to teacher ratio at 17:1. And then they've got 19% of students at least proficient in math and 25% in reading. But that student to teacher ratio is pretty darn good. You actually have two hospitals that are in the Lawton area. You've got Southwestern Medical and then also Comanche County Memorial. Let's get into my favorite part about all of this. What are some of the favorite things for people to do in the area? Well, you've got Medicine Park that's there in the area. You also have Lake Ellsworth that's pretty accessible. And then Mount Scott is a great place for driving, hiking, and maybe doing some little side-by-side or 4x4 activity there too. Lots of fishing and outdoor activities. I just kind of love that kind of thing. It's always my Alaskan heart coming through there. Another fun fact about Lawton is you can actually put in for an elk hunt draw. I didn't even know that you could hunt elk in the state of Oklahoma. Everybody that I ever talk to always talks about going to Colorado. So when I was researching Lawton, this was really a surprise to me that you could hunt elk there. So who knew? That's what I got for you on Lawton. Let's move on down to Enid, the next biggest town. And Enid is coming in at a whopping 50,000 people. It really cracks me up how the sizes of the towns in Oklahoma really just start to shrink once you get outside those metropolitan areas. Going up a little bit in the elevation, 1,240 feet. And where in the heck is Enid at? Let's zoom on out and see how far we are from the Oklahoma City airport. We are a whopping hour 35, 88 miles. So that's what happens when you start taking those back roads. You unfortunately start taking a little bit longer. But here you can see that Enid is really pretty north, just a little bit northwest of Oklahoma City. Enid's actually been around since the time of the land run, and there's actually one of the original land offices is still standing in Enid today. But fun fact about Enid is an entrepreneurial settler had a chuck wagon and they decided they were going to make some money off of the land run and put up business there, right? So they had a sign up that said Dine, D-I-N-E. Well, somehow the sign flipped around and backwards it read E-N-I-D, Enid. And somehow it stuck. This is strictly a rumor. I have no idea if this is true or not, but maybe how it got its name, who knows? But anyway, Enid sits in Cherokee County and it is known as the wheat capital of Oklahoma. Also pretty much known as the wheat capital of the United States of America because it actually has the third largest grain storage capacity in the world, the largest for the nation. Enid also has a military base. They've got Vance Air Force Base that's in the area. So it's really pushed a lot of aviation type careers in the area and the schools that are there. Let's check out some of the housing options for Enid. What's the real estate doing there? Also hanging pretty tight in a seller's market with just a smaller bit of inventory at 3.28 months. Check out the new listing prices though. Coming in at 142,000, active listings median price is about sitting at 180, so just a little bit more than Lawton. New pending listings, holy cow, sitting the same. That's crazy. 149.9 and pending 153.9. And then moving into sold, we've got 201, 250. So that's definitely getting higher than what Lawton was. You can see here again, though, actually this is interesting. It looks like Enid has a little more stability, a little less seasonality in their market. It could be because of the military base, but who knows? That's interesting. Moving on to employers. Who's hiring out in Enid? They had an amazing website there. So they go check out growenid.com. I really like this website. They're really doing some serious investment in their community. And you can see in here the top 3 industries are aviation and aerospace, heavy manufacturing, and then agriculture. Agriculture is really big out there, obviously, because we've got the wheat capital going on. Some of the big employers that are here are Tyson Foods, Atwood Distributing's in the area, Groendyke Transport's here. Enid also has two hospitals. You've got St. Mary's Regional Medical Center, and then you also have Integris. They have facilities in Oklahoma City also. Okay, let's type in Enid, public schools. And we have a B minus for Enid. Again, not bad. And their student to teacher ratio comes in at 18-1 with their test scores of 23% proficiency in math and 24% proficiency in reading. All right. Getting into crime rates for Enid. Let's check them out. So we're going to be heading into, we're going to go to Garfield County and check out the Enid Police Department. So here again, you can see population for Enid, 49,545. Total crimes, 3,436, with a crime rate sitting at 69.35. Again, not terrible. That's 69 people per 1,000. Crimes against a person is 997, so much lower than Lawton. And then crimes against property sits at 2,089. Crimes against society sits at 350. So Enid has another website that I really fell in love with. Visit enid.org. You actually have 6 state parks that are sitting right there around the Enid area. And one of my favorites is Carl and I got a side-by-side, so we're going to be checking out the Little Sahara. There's a lot of major events that happen out there. And then you also have the Gloss Mountain State Park. You've got Salt Plains State Park, which is where you could actually go dig up salt crystals. It's pretty cool. Something else that you can do, you can go check out the Twister Museum. That's right. Twister was filmed a lot in the Enid area, and there's a museum tribute to the Twister movie, the original, not Twisters that just came out, but the original, and you can go check out their museum in the area. So truly a lot of things to do in Enid. Next town we're going to be checking out is going to be Ardmore. If you guys do anything on my channel, you know that Ardmore's been a big place for me to do a lot of videos because I've lived here for like 10 years. So yeah, I know a lot about Ardmore. It's also really where I got my business started. So Ardmore has a population of 24,000 people, going down 873 feet. So Ardmore is actually equidistant from both Oklahoma City and Dallas-Fort Worth. Dallas has been a better airport for us to travel in and out of, and it takes you about an hour and 34 minutes to get to the airport. All of it's pretty much on I-35, so it is 100 miles away. Your other option, of course, is going up to OKC, which is a smaller airport and easier to get in and out of, but not necessarily has as much travel options. So it's only an hour and 33 minutes away at 101 miles. So pretty great options. And as you can see, Ardmore's sitting in the southern portion of the state, and it's a ways away from Tulsa. It takes about 3 hours to drive up there. So what's the Ardmore market, real estate market like? Let's get into it and pull up the numbers. If I can open my video, there we go. All right, opening up the numbers for Ardmore. Ardmore is trending more towards a balanced market than I think most of the other towns that I'm going to be talking about. They're currently sitting at almost 5 months of inventory, but new listings are rolling in at $284,900 for the median list price right now. Active listings, $250,000. It's definitely been trending up. That's one thing I can tell you for sure in the Ardmore area. New pending listings is sitting at $185,000 right now, and sold listings are coming in at $226,000. Major employers for the Ardmore area include the Chickasaw Nation, Mercy Hospital, Dollar General has a huge distribution center there, Valero, Dot Foods, EJ. EJ is one of the last of the foundries that are left in the nation. So kind of a cool place to check out. Schools. Ardmore is strangely, even though it's such a small town with 28,000 people, they actually have 2 different school districts there. But I'm just going to pull up Ardmore Public School District. Ardmore comes in with a C plus. Here you get the breakdown. You've got a student-teacher ratio of 17-1, and then your test scores are coming in with 13% proficient in math, 20% proficiency in reading. So yeah, C plus though for Ardmore. Wah, wah, wah. Ardmore sits in Carter County. So let me get into the Carter County statistics. All right, so pulling up Ardmore, here you see the population they have reported is 24,795. Total crimes is 2,042. Crime rate sitting at 82.36, which the crime rate, that's how many people per thousand. Crimes against a person sitting pretty low, though, at 468. Crimes against property at 1,333, and crimes against society at 241. We really do have a lot more crime against things. There's a lot more theft that happens in Ardmore because well, one of the reasons it's pretty close to the lake. So Lake Murray is a very popular tourist destination in the area. Ardmore's hospital is Mercy. Mercy is pretty much the reason why I've spent about 10 years in the area. My husband picked up a lot of projects for Mercy, doing a lot of renovation, and they put in a new MRI in the hospital there too. So he was responsible for all of that. He also built a clinic for them. But anyways, the hospital in Ardmore is pretty large, and it's as big as it is because it really does serve a lot of the southern Oklahoma communities, pretty much from Duncan over to Durant. We also have a VA hospital in the area too. They've purchased land in the Ardmore area to do a major expansion. So they're wanting to consolidate a lot of their VA services. So that's going to be coming to the Ardmore area. As far as grocery shopping goes, you've got Albertsons just opening. I'm so excited. Yes, Albertsons has moved into the area. We're one of the few communities that actually has another grocery store other than Walmart. So big time, yay. All right, what are some fun things to do if you live in the Ardmore area? You've got two big casinos. You've got the Lake Crest Casino and you've got the WinStar Casino. So if you're one of those gamblers or want to go check out some major shows, you've definitely got some opportunity to do that in the Ardmore area. We are also home to Lake Murray, which is famous for our floating cabins that you can rent out there. If you want to know more about things to do at Lake Murray, all for under $10, I have a video on that. Be sure to go check that out. Link is in the description. We also have the Crossbar Ranch that's close to us up in the Davis area. It's in the Arbuckle Mountains, so that's super fun. I have a video on that too, so be sure you check that out as well. Fun fact about Ardmore. We're known for inventing the shopping cart. So there you go. Also known as buggies for some of you haters out there. I know you love it when I call a shopping cart a buggy. Next town we're going to talk about is Durant. Durant is just east of Ardmore. Durant has a population of 18,643, sitting at 636 feet high. And like I said, it's 1 hour east of Ardmore from I-35, but Durant is super close to the Dallas metro. So many Texans come up and go into Durant for gambling and other fun activities. You got Lake Texoma there too. So an hour 30 to get to the DFW airport at 98 miles, and then going up to Oklahoma City is further at 151 miles and 2.5 hours to get to the Oklahoma City metro. So Lake Texoma is right there. Huge casino going in. Hard Rock Cafe is going to be building a big casino resort area. And then you've also got Chickasaw doing a big golf community on the lake too. So a lot of expansion happening in the Durant area and Kingston, which is just west of Durant. Let's look at Durant real estate because they are so close to that Texan border. The Texans have really pushed this market hard. So we've got 3.97 months of inventory in Durant. New listings coming in at 292.5. If you compare this to many moons ago, you can see that used to be under 200 in that area. So it was really a great place for some of my clients to buy. Active listings, median price $327,000 though. This is one of the more expensive communities to be in right now. And again, it's because those Texans are really coming in and pushing up this market pretty hard. So pending 250,000, and you can see how erratic it's kind of been. A little bit of this is because of seasonality, but it's just been quite a roller coaster over there. Sold listings 262,000, and again, just months of supply 3.97. And here you can see how it is increasing, but still sitting pretty strong in that seller's market. Who's hiring in Durant? So some of the major employers for the Durant area include the Choctaw Casino. So we've actually moved over into the Choctaw Nation. Choctaw tribe is very active in that area. So you've got the Choctaw Casino, one of the biggest casinos in the state. Choctaw Nation is also based in Durant, so they really employ a lot of people there. CMC Metal is in the area, and I've actually helped several people relocate from CMC Metals. Some fun things to do because you have the Choctaw Casino. Obviously, you've got gambling. It's a huge casino, and they bring in some big shows. You've got Lake Texoma, huge place to go for any kind of fishing, any kind of boating activity, any kind of beach activity. So Lake Texoma is really popular. A lot of people from Texas do use Lake Texoma also, so it really is has a large influx of people from that. Fun fact about Durant, it's home of the largest peanut. And occasionally it has to go in storage because sometimes it ends up on scavenger hunt items, and it's been taken a few times. Always recovered, but they have had to take the peanut off display from time to time because it ends up being a hot item to be stolen. So there you go. Speaking of stealing things, let's talk about the crime rates for Durant. Durant sits in Bryan County, so let's go check that out. All right, Bryan County, here we've got Durant. Durant comes in with their population of 19,518 people. Total crimes, 1,269, and a crime rate per 1,000 of just 65.02. Crimes against person, 188. Crimes against property, 822. And crimes against society at 259. Definitely looking a little bit better than Ardmore was. Durant schools come in pretty good too. They come in with an A- rating. So awesome job to Durant. Again, coming in with a student to teacher ratio of 17-1, but their state test scores, 32% proficiency in math and 34% proficiency in reading. So this is definitely one of the better school areas if you're looking to relocate to Oklahoma. Durant does have their own hospital. It's Alliance Health. The Choctaw tribe also has a medical center there too. Last community we're going to be talking about is Ada. Carl and I were in Ada for a spell. Again, there's another small Mercy hospital there, so it brought us there for work. Ada has a population of 17,235, an elevation of 1,000 feet. So Ada sits about an hour and a half away from Oklahoma City Airport, 88-mile drive. You can also go to Tulsa at 145 miles or 2 hours, 23 minutes to get there. But you're going to be driving through a lot of country roads because Ada does sit so far east. It's kind of, like I said, it's a little bit off the beaten path. What is Ada's real estate market doing? Let's pull it up. Okay, so Ada has 3.2 months of inventory. Interesting. List to sold price 96%. New listings though coming in at 192,000. Again, they don't quite have that influx of people coming in driving that market up. But you can see here we've got active listings, median price sitting at 269. Boy, I just ate my words there, didn't I? And scrolling into sold, sitting with 149,000. So definitely quite a bit of price differences there. Major employers for Ada. Ada's still in the Chickasaw Nation, and the Chickasaw headquarters is actually in Ada. You also have the East Central University there. Legal Shield is there, which is a legal advice service. And they have quite a big facility there. Coca-Cola just built a distribution center there too. And then Ramjack is based out of there. Kerr Lab is also in Ada, and they conduct a ton of water research there and study the recapture and restoring groundwater back to the aquifers. Strangely, there's a lot of aquifers that are in the state of Oklahoma, and Kerr Labs has become one of the major study research centers for the area. Let's look at crime rates for Ada. So we're going to go to Pontotoc County. Ada has a population here of 17,280. Total crimes, 1,150. Crime rate per 1,000 is 66.55. Crimes against a person, 255. Against property, 648. And against society at 247. School districts for Ada. Let's pull up their niche score. Ada City Schools. And we come in with a B+. Not bad. Student-to-teacher ratio of just 14-1. Those are some smaller classes. 17% proficiency in math and 23% proficiency in reading. Major hospital in the area is Mercy. It is a smaller hospital, but they do have beds available for people to stay in. If you're needing hospitalization, chances are you're either going to be going to Ardmore or you're going to be heading to Oklahoma City. So one of my favorite parks is actually in Ada. It's the Wintersmith Park. I loved it. It has a 1.5-mile track going around a huge pond there. So 2 laps and I got my 3-mile walk or run in. It's also close to Lake Kanawha. I really hope I'm saying that right. Sorry if I'm not. Ada's claim to fame, it's where Blake Shelton was actually born. So there you go. When I first moved here, I thought Blake Shelton was actually from Tishomingo, which is it's a town just south of Ada, but turns out that he's not. He was actually born up in Ada, so he didn't get very far. That's it for my analysis of 5 communities in the state of Oklahoma that are not part of the Oklahoma City or Tulsa metros. What do you think? Could you survive? I hope so. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to know more about any of these communities or some other community in rural Oklahoma, feel free to give me a call, man. I'd love to hear from you. But if you like this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you love this video and want to know more about moving to Oklahoma or what it's like living in Oklahoma, man, totally subscribe to my channel. I try to upload content as often as I can, and there's all kinds of stuff on my channel. So go be sure to check that out. But till the next time, you guys, bye. Lawton sits 81 miles north. Oh my God. Lawton sits 81 miles southwest. Yeah, no, that was right.